Worried, I monitor the time on my phone. The event's coordinator calls to check up on me.
Where are you now?
I'm close. Just a few minutes and I will be there with you.
You have the seedlings?
Yes.
Good. Keep an eye on them. And hurry, we're waiting for you and the kids are getting restless.
Fine. Okay. A few minutes and it'll be noon. The day evenly split. And the beginning of the event. I pick up my pace and canter toward the area with the tents of the displaced, where I will coordinate with the Childhood Follow-Up Agency to distribute basil seedlings to the children in the displacement camp. My role will mostly be to sing with the children and entertain them, while giving some explanation of how to grow and care for plants. It was hard to hear the coordinator clearly. His voice had to reach me over the squawks of the street sellers wedged up against one another on either side of the road, the cussing of bored passers-by, the horns of lethargic cars, the clacketing caro carts, and a stuck ambulance, moribundly trying to inch its way out of the Aqsa hospital driveway. I have to find a swift path through all of this to get where I'm rushing with 100 of these seedlings in a plastic bag. I try not to disturb the delicate perennials in the ruckus of that high-strung hour. I dribble through the pedestrian cores, deftly passing some, jostling hips and shoulders with others, until I bump up behind a donkey-dragged cart, its driver maintaining a considered, careful pace. I try to pass him on the right, but there's a young woman whispering under her niqab into the cell phone she carries in her hand, her other clutching the cart. I try the other way, but there's a young man in his 20s, head bent, rubby attire, his every step dragging as if he hadn't slept in days, also leaning against the cart's wooden platform. The cart blocks my path. I clock its cargo and fully power off my phone and recite the Fatiha under my breath. A person lies there dead, mayyit, kafan shrouded in the middle of the cart. In that moment, I feel my soul rise up, my throat dry out, and my legs betray me, so that I have to lean against the cart. A mayyit, with no cover but a kafan for some dignified decency. A mayyit, and no proper car for a hearse. A mayyit with none but 2 mourners for a funeral procession. And a market's workaday bustle and ruckus all around. Events be damned. God, shield us from your anger and disdain. You poor, tragic soul. What happened to you? Where are your family, you lost child? Where are your names, you shit? The cart crawls toward the old cemetery. I follow in surrender, lobbing seedlings one by one on the kafan, as sad as if we were old friends. If only your funeral were just a bit better. A funeral as small as can be. Just the phone girl and the boy who's maybe her brother. And between them the body, like a child in a cradle, rocked by the trembling hand of the dirt road. The mayyit seems as though he has a plump body. It isn't bloating, and there's no odour, so he must be recently deceased, not left under the dirt. Nothing about the kafan's contour suggests obesity. The shoulders are relatively wide, and the legs are unexpectedly long. Was he a runner? A moderate midsection, no sagging, no protrusions in the chest area, suggesting breasts. So it's certainly a man. In his 40s, maybe? The head is a little big. The hands not clasped at the belly like they normally would be. Perhaps because he was washed and prepared in the haste of a crowded hospital. But those arms are very long, very long. He's a basketball player. His limbs are all in place. He wasn't the victim of a shelling or a razing. He died whole and intact. A clean bill of health. Was it a bullet? Or maybe shrapnel? I almost ask him his name, his cause of death. My thoughts hover around the poor, miserable maid with no mourners. The children bereft of their basil, they won't sing or dance. The anger of the event coordinator, who is now cursing me, I imagine. The displaced, downcast, that I've not turned up. The seedlings that I've scattered to keep this fellow company in his diasporic solitude. The long war and its end. I think of all of this as I lean against the wagon, as if I'm the maid, not him. I bark at one of the seated vendors to uncross his legs. Can't you see this is a funeral? He complies, reluctantly, adding, الباقي في حياتكم. May your life be the remaining. The driver, who is seated confidently, and whose face I'd yet to see, requites, حياتك الباقية. May your life remain. And he urges the donkey onward with a gentle flap of the reins. He keeps the careful pace, but his agitation starts to show as he calls out to the people in the way. Behind you! Coming through from behind! The funeral still moves at a slow, somber pace amidst the chaos of the street. My head roasts under the sting of the June sun, and bits of sweat steal past my armpits and soak my shirt. The young woman shoots several worried glances my way, but she doesn't say anything. She plows back into the ongoing phone call. As for the sleepwalker, I'd gotten a reserved smile out of him at first. No shared looks or glances since. I didn't really want anything from them except to ask about him. I've respected their grief. We make it through the thick throng in front of the hospital and turn left onto a paved and less crowded road. The donkey speeds up to a trot, and we trot too. We arrive 10 minutes later. Looking in at the cemetery, I witness the tombstones, shoulder to shoulder. No trees here. They were uprooted in the war and used as firewood for cooking. And no people out in the extended open, except for the 4 or 5 who were standing at some distance, above what appears to be an open grave. They look in our direction. I finish throwing the last of my basil seedling confetti upon my mayit. The driver turns, and I see his face, with a solemn frown, streaming sweat with no sign of sadness. Maybe it's more like the face of a young man, painstakingly at work. Not directing his words at anyone in particular, he says, حياكم الله يا شباب ما تشوفوا شر يخلف عليكم. God's good wishes, guys. May you see no evil, and I wish you descendants to carry on your legacy. Bye, everyone, thank you. The young man responds, addressing me and the young woman. Yalla, يعطيكوا العافية. Yalla, may he give you vigor. And he walks away. The woman doesn't say anything at all. She just turns her back to me and leaves. The people that had been looking down at a grave move towards us. The driver delivers his next words as if to dismiss me. Hayakallah, mister. What? Do you want anything, mister? I bellow, pleading. Who is this person? Where's his family? Where did the others who were with him go? And you? Who are you anyway? Perched on the carriage, the driver looks around, making sure no one else is listening. He leans down, putting his weight on his elbow to come closer to me, to whisper. This is a gun run, mister. Weapons. You understand? Better for you to move along.